Genesis damage is very different from mental and reality damage, as it doesn't take in defense or damage bonus into consideration. This means it usually has limited amount of potential. However, with the introduction of 37, that changes, as she can critically strike with her Genesis damage. Today, we're gonna go over everything you need to know about 37, so you can understand how to maximize her potential. As per usual, we'll first go over her insight and skills, follow up with Portrays, which make a decent difference to her damage output. We'll then go over her Resonate and compare her Psychubes, and finish with some potential team builds you can use.
Welcome to the world of numbers!
The main source of damage of 37 is actually her Insight. Her Insight 1 gives her the ability to trigger supplementary formula whenever she has 5 stack of Eureka. Skill itself is a full AoE that does damage to all enemy and is about the same power as her single target skill. There are 3 ways to gain Eureka for her. She gains 1 stack of Eureka whenever she takes an action. Her ultimate also gives +2 Eureka from the effect, but because it's counted as an action, it actually grants a total of 3 Eurekas. She will also gain 1 Eureka whenever an ally does a follow-up attack, so character like Lydia can serve as a Eureka generator. Her Insight 3 gives her a 20% free crit chance and, more importantly, allows her to critically strike with her Genesis damage. This greatly increases the Genesis damage potential of her, as it can now enjoy the critical damage multiplier. Her skill 1 is a simple single target skill that does partially Genesis damage, and her skill 2 is a 2 target skill that also does partially Genesis damage. Additionally, her skill 2 provides 1 stack of Sturdiness, which reduces her damage taken by 25% for 1 hit per stack. Her ultimate is a buffing skill. It provides the entire team with 10% attack buff that can be used twice. Additionally, it gives her 2 stack of Enlightenment, which give her 100% Genesis damage bonus for 2 uses. It also grants her 2 stack of Eureka, which is actually 3 stacks, as the action of using the ultimate also triggers her Insight. The attack buff is actually a lot more powerful than it looks. First off, this 10% is based off the attack character entering the combat with, which include the character's base stats, resonance, and Psychube, plus any passives. Because this game directly subtracts defense from attack before any multipliers are applied, assuming attack around 2000 and enemy with around 600 defense, this 10% attack is actually around 15% damage increase.
A perfect argument!
So, many of you have probably heard about this. 37's Portray are very strong. A good amount of damage of 37 come from her Insight's extra proc. With a regular rotation, with 1 follow-up unit, you would get around 2 procs of her passive every ultimate. And her Portray directly enhances its power, and not by a little. Her Portrait 2 increases damage by 50%, and at P4, it deals double the original damage, which is as much as you would expect out of an AoE ultimate. And with P3 and P5, she can now gain 4 or 5 Eureka from her ultimate, further increasing the number of time it procs. Because of Portrait's focus on her main source of damage, it totals around 80 to even 100% damage increase from P0 to P5, depends on the—
And now, I belong to this set.
So with that being said, how should we build her? As we have discussed before, Genesis damage does not benefit from damage bonus or incantation might. This means the only focus we have are attack and crit. So here is the R9 and R10 of her critical resonance, which you can copy. For Psychube, my suggestion is to either go with her signature that comes with the event, Silent, and Adoring, or you can use his Bond and Duty since it has very high amount of attack. Some people have said that the new Psychube from next patch, Long Night Talk, is better choice than Silent and Adoring, but I don't actually agree with it. To understand why, we need to compare the effect of the 2 Psychubes. Long Night Talk has 380 base attack and 18% incantation might. Silent and Adoring has slightly lower attack at 350, but also additionally 10% attack on top of it. At I3R10 level 30, when you enter the combat, you would only have 1785 attack with Long Night Talk, but 1867 with Silent and Adoring. Like I said before, Incantation Might does not affect Genesis damage, so that 18% Incantation Might is more like maybe around 13% damage increase, as it only affects about 70% and less of her damage output. Supposedly, the argument is Long Night Talk overtakes Silent and Adoring in terms of attack after stacked up, and the benefit of the bonus attack covers more of her attack than Silent Adoring, which only boosts the damage of her follow-up. But the thing is, only her ultimate can trigger the stacking of Long Night Talk, which means to even get there in first place, you will have to use her ultimate multiple times. and the only content that would have enough turns for Lana attack to stack up is the raids. And in raids, boss will gain progressively more damage reduction. So at later turns, especially the one made for her which takes 75% bonus Genesis damage from her follow-up is a large portion of her damage. So overall, especially at higher amplification and higher portrait, Silent and Adoring is still the best in slot for her.
Form is above all.
And finally, let's look at the teams you can use her in. First is the team that will generally be used in patch 1.4. Lydia can proc follow-up attack very consistently. This means she is one of the best sub DPS for 37 at the moment. Usually you want to do at least 2 follow-up attack with Lydia per 37's ultimate, so to not waste Eureka with her ultimate as it does not overflow. And since you are not looking to fuse card with 37, it's very easy to achieve with the refreshing toning skill. 6 is generally a very good support that can be used in any team, but he does not fully synergize with 37. The reason is that the Genesis part of her damage cannot benefit from the buffs and debuffs he provides, as they are damage bonus and defense penetration. Especially in content she specializes in, the Genesis damage is the most important part. But as far as patch 1.4 concerned, he is the best in slot. Tooth Fairy is of course here. You don't even need her confusion for this, as 37 has built-in critical chance in her insight. Tooth Fairy's ability to passively apply 15% critical defense down is a direct damage increase to 37, and for 4 on-field fights, she can keep it up most of the turns even without her portrait too. In patch 1.5, we will have a new character Ezra who can greatly buff critical damage while also provide both Eureka and Moxie with his ultimate. He synergizes much better with 37 than 6 in Genesis content, with the ability to give her 40% critical damage boost. The downside of course is he is extremely niche and is mostly used for this purpose only. And in patch 1.6, we will get Junyangzi as the first true limited unit, and she will form the final team with 37. On top of being a very strong unit herself, Junyangzi can give her 1 Eureka with her attacking skill and 2 Eurekas with her channeling skill, meaning it is possible to trigger 37's passive every 4 actions. For this team specifically, 6 is actually better than Ezra, as 6 synergizes extremely well with Junyangzi. And finally, for the 10 people out there who built Miss New Babel, yes, you can use New Babel instead of Lydia as a Eureka generator. You will be sacrificing quite a bit of damage output for general content, but if you can consistently fuse Babel's card and generate extra Moxie, it's not that bad. It's also a very good strategy in situation where she can generate Moxie from full-up attack in places like Limbo or UTTU. And that's pretty much everything you need to know about 37, the first Genesis focused character we have in Reverse 1999. This has been Steambound X, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.